InShalla and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings. It is I, once again, Tonya D, holistic Sha'medium and subtle energy surgeon, merging the indigenous technologies with the energetics, the subtle energetic fields and centers and pathways. And I'm hopping on a little snoozed in today, the Snell time, but it's the daily snippet, and it's also Friday, December 17th, and we are on the highway to this galactic, juicy, super full, magical moon. Wishes really are going to be delicious as we kick it off. But not only is this moon going to be full, but it's also the nodes in Gemini and Sagittarius. So finally, we really want to decide where our future date beyond that yellow brick road lies, the future date. Anyway, with the energy of the day so otherworldly, literally, we are going to feel the call to really explore our own personal prime directive, our life purpose, the spiritual side, like why did we land in planet Earth here? But, and making sure also that it aligns with or is in sync with our future date and beyond. So the energy of the day is connected to and through God universe, the galactic core, and those other juicy realms, connecting with our higher self, our Sira, that octave of who we are, the highest note, if you will, in that tonality, amplifying our own sound system to the otherworldly consciousness, being that beacon, and just taking time to connect to the physical in ways that bring us down and through the earth plane. Whether, if that's doing yoga for you or a hot bath, some spiritual music or any music really that attunes to you, meditation, breath work, etc. And really be in the flow, the current of what comes to you. Even a small signal really has the ability to revolutionize all the many snippets of the stage of life. The role of our personal essence that really plays and does the dance in the physical realm, and just listen to all the juice that your crown is open up to the universe, to the call, those messages, especially with the soul's harmonic. That's the season that we're actually in, is with the soul's harmonic. But the elements of the day, we have a Yin Earth Pig day, also known as a Ahhhh. Sometimes I wonder if I say these names right, but either way. We also have what is called a complete water direction, starting with the pig to the rat to the ox. So the north, the energy of the north is highly activated. It's the winter, so water is flowing. Water is the snow that really floated down from the heavenly realms, the sky, and landed and created a comforter on the earth, at least in my village. Anyway, it's communication, it's divination, it's our emotions. It's Mercury actually as well in the cosmology of Chinese elements. But being that our day master is a yin earth energy, this is the soil. It's providing stability, the element that transforms from one energy to the next energy. And it's all about being fair. That's the energy of earth. A person of earth is fairness. But the pig energy, if you were born between the hours of 9 p.m. and 11 p.m., you take your emotions to the inner muscles. What does that mean? So if you're having problems with your teres minor, it's called, they're like little sliver of muscles. They kind of look like ligaments in a weird way. But even your lower calves or your high calf, the one that kind of flexes your foot. So you kind of look to where you are feeling depressed, where your life kind of seems kind of futile. But on the positive side, you're full of hope. You always see the glass is half full, never half empty. So there's a sense of elegance and grace about your presence and your demeanor. And you move easily, you flow. People admire you for your grace and your beauty. You're otherworldly optimistic, and you really expect gooder things to happen in life to you and for you. And oftentimes they usually do. But you're even cautious. But you're also willing to take those risks when they feel appropriate. But the other side of the coin, because this energy is connected to the pathway, the energetics of the triple warmer, the seeds of destruction in a way. So at the core of emotions of hope versus this hopelessness. So when you feel hopeless, there really is no need to, there's actually, it's a need to, a call to get off the planet, and one can really engage in a variety of self-destructive behaviors in order to kind of achieve that dubious goal. So you could be depressed and feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. It kind of reminds me of the god Atlas. Um, but in another extreme, you also are the one to take those foolish risks and you're tempting fate. Not really caring if you survive and thrive or not on a variety of levels, just according to the balance between the positive and those negatives. So when we talk about people being survivors or not, those emotions of the triple warmer kind of come up. It's the energy of it. Because the power animal, being the pig or the boar, who really feels kind of big and awkward and possibly a little ugly if you've really looked at a boar, who in the wild has this irrational bent energy for a kind of a suicide, which is detrimental, right? But the triple warmer also deals with humiliation and ridicule. It's the prime meridian for depression, actually. So when we are, any of us, as you know, if we've been treated any way like this and have held onto it, held it in, we become depressed. So it kind of is a narcissistic quality that belongs to the energy of the boar, the pig, because it can be self-centered and feel that the world really revolves around them alone. Then their needs and their desires are the only ones that actually really matter or count. So with all of that, you know, and that was, you know, a considerable amount really down the rabbit hole. But the way to neutralize this energy is you need to see yourself as the light, as the buoyant and the full and this exuberant energy that's sometimes otherworldly, and just knowing that there is always the light at the end of the tunnel. And also know that with a new day in comes the hope and the prospect for life to actually change. And just know that the answer is to the problem is kind of inherent, and just keep working towards it until you get the change that your heart wants, that lights you up. So parents, if you have children that are born with the pig or the boar energy, the thing to do is to install hope into their little energetic fields. Those are, if you're born the year, the day, or the hour, etc. of the boar, the month even, instilling hope for the new day. Tomorrow's a new day, the new dawn. That is going to neutralize this tendency. So it's the energy of hope that really has the ability to transform, the time to really kind of awaken the beauty that really resides within the soul. So the energy shows us where our self-destructive side is in our life. That's where we tend to be actually more pessimistic. And we all have this somewhere, just finding ourselves more bogged down, where we need to move into a solid resolve of certainty and clarity. And it really is a day to find the peace, the clarity, and the reconciliation. We have all this energy of the north, which is the water, in collaboration, this otherworldly energy. So with today really having the highest octave of spirit energy out into the forecast in the cosmic webbing, we are on the cusp of our own personal yellow brick road of where our future lies. So when the cosmic soup has the ingredients of our beliefs, or what we believe about the future, adding up into the soup, the ingredients, our personal and our spiritual beliefs into the pot, you know, it's a great day to really sit in silence in the serenity. You know, the snow is serene in a weird way, and really recalibrate our recipe about what we believe and our future path. And also, since we're on the highway to the galactic center and this juicy full moon, be sure to grab my Musing Moon meditation if you have yet. That was in the inboxes on Wednesday, but if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, the link is out there. I'm sure of it. Not sure where at the moment. But did you know that the galactic center actually represents the nucleus of the Milky Way, the galaxy, the galactic core? And it's even been believed that it's the gateway to the earth, to creation itself. So it really is this magical, I would say it's a conscious river stream connected, but not only is it mystical and magical and spiritual, but it's also the cosmic highway connection to creation. It's the knot in those threads, going past a crossroads, really. So it's this intuitive diagnosis that really gets downloaded from our Sira, our otherworldly self, what we look like on the other world, that might indeed be coming from the core beacon of that galactic highway. Again, it reminds me of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's the eye in the pie in the sky. So just being a star being, our spiritual star that we are, this is super juicy. And you too might come to an otherworldly understanding, really, that your personal story, this new chapter, out into the future is also in alignment with all of what is, which is the oneness out into the galaxy. Just possibly learning who, what, where your place is in the galactic grid in the universe. So I would seriously, in all actuality, connect to your Sira, your higher self, praying, setting an intention, and really getting some otherworldly guidance for your earthly script, the story you're meant to live. So if you find that you are in the mists of your own spiritual self already, you're already in that congruency, that synchronicity, then just kind of meditate and wait for the sign, the affirmation. With our Soul's Harmonic online, the juice really is there. We're going to get the signal. And you might even get a vision or something today that takes you down an entirely different path, a new journey. But be in alignment with compassion and also with spirit, and stay in the frequency of those higher octaves of hope, because we have the pig online, and with that, the hope is the answer. So just allow the otherworldly self to be your guide, your beacon, and taking you on a journey to affirm the being that really resides within you. So just kind of pay attention to any funny feelings or any warning signals that you might get today, and tapping into your intuition channel, the crown, meditation, on all the things, whether it's your relationships, your personal heart, your career, acts of service, where do you belong in society? So spirit really is today the beacon to really bid and to answer that call. So just make sure whatever is bubbling up through those threads is really in alignment with your spiritual values, and also that they really bring out the best. So in your connection with the realm of spirit, our acumen, ask those questions, get the memo, get the message. And, like I said, you might get an alert signal. Really, it's a day to really ask those harder questions, the ones that you really need the most answer to and the guidance with in the earth school, the journey here. And just remember those negative thoughts and those ways of thinking. The spiritual river streams won't be able to hear or carry the message in the streams for you. So really, we need to place an authentic truth, a spiritual truth. We don't need to judge ourselves or even others, and really be the light of truth in our own beacon in the core, our core of our heart, our star. Now, yesterday, I know I pulled the blue calcite, but today we've got the white one. So that's super fun. But the white calcite, it's like saying farewell to the limiting beliefs and stepping into our spiritual power with the pale and this perfect pop of white, this calcite stone. It really works across the sacral energetic center, the solar plexus, the third eye, and then into the crown to be that beacon. But it brings this high vibrational frequency and this energy to the body, the mind, and the soul, just making sure that we can align with every inch of our spiritual personal bliss, which I think we all need that. And again, I go to Tiny Rituals to get this, and they have like 12 stones that actually resonate with the crown. But, our crown, all those stones, it could be the amethyst, clear quartz, selenite, howlite, labradorite. They've just got some beautiful ones, right? But the crown is our connection to spirituality out into the galactic universe. Being our seventh energetic center, it's the home of our higher consciousness, our unity, and our life purpose. So with its bright violet and white color, this cosmic energy and just boundary breaking vibrations, just unlocking our crown center to really, it can ultimately be our greatest adventure, our higher Sira. So it's this bridge between the physical world that we feel beneath our feet and all the secrets of the stars. The crown is where we go to connect with all that sits beyond our earthly understanding, really taking us out into the galaxy, into the galactic highway. So when our crown is cracked open and all the light and the energy of our body connects with the galactic universe, we truly can leap to our highest learning. So those that already have an open crown can find themselves in a beautiful spiritual balance They radiate with peace and light, and they are grounded, and they give themselves over to trust rather than being led by fear. So they're just open up to all the great teachings of the galactic universe, and they're surrounded by abundance. And the joys of the crown, this cosmic connection, can really awaken every cell in our body and grant us a deep feeling of belonging and meaning. So, if you feel like you have a blockage or an imbalance within your spiritual acumen, your crown, you might feel the weight of cynicism, being a cynic, on your shoulders. And you might also dismiss your spirituality or feel even overwhelmed by experiences that are really inviting us to explore deeper. You could feel locked into loneliness, unhappiness, and just a lack of direction in life, your sole purpose, your prime directive. And you might not even understand your purpose, and you could even be trapped in victim mentality and just unable to take responsibility for your own life. So even for those who have really gone the opposite way and have an overwhelmed crown center, this can lead to a loss of balance and grounding. So you might feel spacey or out of contact on a human level. So really balance is everything when it comes to our crown center. So just bringing in the light of the divine kind of can assist you, or a stone. It could be an herb. I'm just using stones for right now. However, let's get rid of that. Now the cards of the day, these are super juicy. The first one I pulled is our little feline, which is actually in relation to cats if you have a cat. The feline likes the cats, but he's part of the fairy challengers, and they bring us face to face with our fears, things we deny, our inner traumas, securities, delusions, confusions, all that kind of stuff. But metaphorically, they're the ones who really like to play with us. They might stick their foot out in front of us. They want us to get the memo, to see if we're kind of paying attention to where we're going and what's going on. And they really test our alertness, our awareness on the inside, our knowledge and our own spiritual acumen and our wisdom. They're even dedicated to our own personal growth. And without them, sometimes we get very lazy. So with the feline, it's all about getting things right and having delayed completions and tidying up those loose ends. So we know that this feline is near when he's nodding his head, when we hear remarks like, I thought you'd have my shirt ironed for me, or you said you were going to get my brake fixed, or, if you work for a corporation, your report isn't in yet or done yet, stuff like that. So this lion speaks to us when we know we deserve it, but we're pretending that we don't. So he's the voice that whispers in our ears just as we try to settle down, getting into a good book. Maybe you want to take a hot bath or indulge in a favorite activity. So we experience that all familiar kind of guilty feeling. And alcohol actually drowns him out temporarily and gives people those hangovers as well. So it's not a useful remedy, although it's often widely used. In fact, the particular avoidance tactic usually causes the feline to raise their voice even louder the next morning in a particularly kind of piercing kind of tone. So he really makes a list of things that we haven't done, shaking his head and muttering over them, just tisk, tisk, the task isn't done kind of thing. So these are the things we could and we should have taken care of, but now we haven't. So his job, and he does it very well, sometimes though he just wishes we would do our own job so that he could just go play, kiss the fairy maid in the fields and enjoy some chocolate and take naps out in the lands of the otherworldly realms, instead of having to work overtime kind of nagging at us. But since I pulled it reversed, he's saying, whoa, wait a minute, whose idea was this anyway? And he's asking us to consider those oughts and those shoulds and those entangling webs with those feelings of guilt. Have we taken on a lot of unrealistic or unfair or just plain silly demands that are coming from others? Are these old, irrelevant emotional programs that we're carrying around from the past? So the feline turned upside down suggests that we need to really make a careful accounting of our guilty feelings and really decide just how many of them actually are our duty and how many are simply the results of other people making those unfair or unrealistic demands So, we could collude with this by acquiescing to those demands, like going with them. But he also suggests that we take a look at how many of these unfinished tasks actually belong to the other, but we've taken them on in a misguided kind of attempt to be helpful or to maybe appear obliging. So are we trying to make martyrs of ourselves? If so, it might well be that one part of us that says aloud that foolish thing, oh, let me do that for you. While another part of us is saying silently, our inside voice, and mostly ignored oftentimes, it would be better all around if they did this for themselves. So they set up a conflict within us, and these conflicts use up a lot of energy, leaving us drained and just really unable to get on with our lives. So these feelings can even be the cause of a serious depression. But the way to resolve this one is either to do the job and then be smart enough next time not to make any promises like that, or give notice to the other people involved that we hereby hand them back their own personal responsibilities. So this is really kind of hard stuff, but just well worth the effort and the present relief and even our future peace, right? Because we're heading down the yellow brick road. Seriously. So the feline would really just absolutely like to be our friend. He would like to be over our shoulder while we're reading a juicy book or lounging in a hot, steamy tub. And he'd like to dance in front of the computer screen while we're playing those games. So these beings really are the joy and the laughter and the humor and the dance, right? They like to play. They like to have fun. And they want us to have fun in all actuality. So that's the energy of the feline. So they just want us to be full and having some fun. And just knowing the grumpier and the more demanding is the more shrill and kind of screechy his voice also gets. But when our tasks are done, he becomes the free lion. And no one is more jovial or magnificent than that. So he really is saying that we must go and play, find the joy and the humor and the funny things, actually. So yeah, that's that. So now let's get on to the next little card here. Oh, hang on one second. So this one's quite curious. This is Tulbaria of the Waters. And I actually, the cool thing about this is I actually started writing a book, I think 5 years ago or longer. And one of my little beings was named Tulbaria, and she came from the water. So this is actually super cool. I kind of like that I pulled this card, but she's part of the fairy guides and the guardians, the ones that devote their time and their energy directly guiding humans as we develop our special gifts and our talents and our own pure natural magic, our own juice. So they assist us to become more than we already are, just exploring our unlimited potentials and transcending our self-imposed, most of the time, limitations, oftentimes, right? And in some cases, they really help us climb out of the holes that we've made for ourselves by misusing or misunderstanding our talents and our unlimited potentials at the same time. But they often believe that a sense of humor, totally, is necessary. It's just part of being fulfilled and being in the magic, right? Into the bliss. So they really encourage this in us and for us. And they want us to discover the joys of living more harmoniously with nature and with other and also with them, having a collaboration. Tulbaria of the Waters. So for a moment, if we were to close our eyes and just let ourselves feel the cooling, sparkling fairy waters just flowing through our fingers or through the snow. Imagine drinking that sparkling coolness from our own cupped hands, and imagine the water flowing down your throat. You're just taking it in. And you might even be able to feel that magical energy, the filled coolness just flowing right through all the way down to our toes. And just take a breath and a pause. And then, does that just feel juicy and better? So throughout the world, there are these healing wells, both for our general health and also for specific ailments. And in modern times, many of the fairy qualities have been seriously diluted. even though this being, this Toberia and her healing helpers, do everything they can to keep these waters clear and also potent, very powerful, these waters reflect the emotional state of the human people around them. So the fairy waters that come through to our world have kind of lessened in their purity and also in their power in the places where people are living, especially, I would say, civilized, stressful, concrete jungle kind of lives. So you might observe that these are kind of profound connections with drinking waters, tears, wells of forgiveness. Water is the fluid of transforming those nutrients in the body and just connecting with the flow. You know, we have this water direction that's online, you know, but I could flow on and on just about water itself, but I'll kind of muse away at that here. But, you know, the many healing fairies who help Toberia of the waters do the best they can under the circumstances, really, to purify these waters. And they try to maintain their own vital energy, their own spirits, to give out the power of those waters. So we can really assist the fairies by creating more of a merriment in our lives, being the joy, and also the lives of others, and also in our own. So in addition to this healing well, this spring, these are the wells and the springs that have the wisdom. They bestow it upon us, or even the skill if you're to drink these waters. There's a famous fountain on Mount Helicon, Hippocrene, I don't know if I'm saying that right, which has this energy to create poetic inspiration. So, you know, that's similar to being a fountain of fairy because of the way it looks and also the way it works. It's a place where if you just have one drink, you gain a certain level of a poetic kind of ability. And a second drink is going to bring you more. And the third actually brings you to like the flower of the beauty of poetry. So the reason the world's not overrun with these otherworldly, magnificent poetry is because first, it's very difficult to find the spring. And second, the water itself packs this otherworldly energy that most people kind of stagger off after a single drink or even a second one. And you only get really one chance at this spring. There's also other fountains of youth. There's one in the highest hills of Iona, a magical isle on the west coast of Scotland as well, where you could look and look for this, but never find it actually. And even if you try, because it's more in a need to go to it after a while, you know, I think they kind of fade away. They only open. It reminds me of the Outlander book in a way, going through the portal in the stones. But this card being reversed indicates emotional needs that aren't met yet, or a thirst of the spirit or the emotions. Or on the other hand, it can remind us that fairy spells on waters can also be kind of mischievous, causing confusion, muddling our memory, and kind of making us a little bit more irritable as well. So, you know, it might be calling for a cold shower in order, or for me, I could go out and make a snow angel in the cold. So it's a time for cooling off and just coming down and quieting the waters of our emotions before we really take any action. That's kind of the message of the card. And then we have, which I love, I pulled it. This is Ongus, the Journeyman. He's part of the She, the people of the hills, the lords and the ladies. These are the ones that love to dance. They all love to dance, but these ones dance for they are alchemizing and mediating the dance of life, bringing the manifestation into the world using the energies of the singers, the beings of light, the fairies of light, that kind of mediate this energy. So they're the ones who create and nurture and just build all these different realms and worlds, and even the inhabitants of those spaces in between those crevices, inside a tree, if you will, or the beings of the water, the caves, the mountains, etc., etc. That's kind of how Voices of the Other World actually came to be. I was a guest on a Zoom talking about otherworldly beings, and the juice is there, right? But these are available to each and every one of us individually. They're either guardians, teachers, comforters, but they enjoy creating frequent miracles as well. But the Journeyman, you know, this is like all of the great ones, the saints, the Bodhisattvas, stuff like that. I'm thinking kind of like of nomadics, anybody filled by the spiritual life, and they've actually been on the journey of this, where they went into the wilderness and they're stepping what might appear like a fool off the paths that look safe into the waiting hands of their gods and their goddesses. So, but this is the journey of life. It's also kind of a pilgrimage that begins if an ignorant trust in a way, and passes through all of the doubts and the fears and the ups and the downs. I think it's curious. I pulled this card with the energy of the day because we're deciding to write our future self story, right? But it's even, all of our delusions as well kind of come out, and certainly some of our confusions, but it's through it that we learn slowly, sometimes painfully even, a new kind of trust, a new outcome, a new process, trusting in the process where we're detached from the goal of whatever that looks like. So our dear little journeyman, his name's Ongus, even though his toes are sparkling and he's got this enthusiasm, he's bright, he's educated, he's completed his apprenticeship journey, the arts and the crafts and all the, I would say the divinations in the fairy realm, but he's not yet achieved his true mastery, whatever that looks like. So to accomplish this, he has to leave the protection of his village, I would say, his master, his elder, and step out into the independent craftsman, this journeyman. So he's testing himself, he's testing his knowledge out into the world, but he hopes that he achieves the status of being an elder, a master. So, but right now he knows a lot of facts, but he has all the basic skills, probably knows, thinks he does actually, but he's about to learn about survival and bartering and persuading and being wise and enjoying life, making friends, creating his own village in a way. But he doesn't need to learn how to iron his shirts, I'm sure. However, he still has these lovely, just childlike wonder, fun qualities, and he's able to balance the ball, the stick. That's the moon, by the way, in the background. So that was the other cool part about picking this card. He's balancing the moon on the stick. He's set no boundaries on anything he can do because he is magical and he doesn't set those limitations on himself or even on others. So he's able to literally walk on air or water or through the hills and still balancing the moon on that stick. So this card is really saying, adventure, independence, travel. There's a long path ahead, and we hope. So the card is speaking to the need to really perfect our skills and working and actually living the adventure, and also acknowledging and just having some sound grounding just in the basics. So it's optimistic, it's innocent, and it's willing to learn. So our little journeyman is showing us that our intuition, which is the beacon that's on today, is going to serve us, but we need to pay attention to it. And sometimes we might feel like we're operating from a theory alone, the physical realm, but our knowledge, it may or it might not be well grounded in our reality, the physical. So it doesn't, being that it's reversed, it doesn't necessarily refer to just exclusively new beginnings. It can also be a signal that we're progressing along our path in our journey, moving into the unknown from the known. A new phase possibly is like this ongoing process, the day-to-day. So it might also, it could represent untested concepts or ideas, the dialogue, the analog, just suggesting a need that we need more balance. So it's like the intuitive side, Mercury of the mind, and our rational, the one that approaches the unknown, merging. So just consider where you're going, what are your long-term goals and what are you doing that's helping you really move towards them? So these cards really go with the energy of the day, seriously. And this is actually one of my favorite energies, the energy of today. So when our feelings merge with our thought analog or our dialogue, then we have this spiritual acumen, which is our Sira, who we channel in. So it's like we are our own spiritual detective, witnessing our intuition in action as long as we're listening. So it's really a day to truly let go, get in the flow, all that water, put your faith and your trust into that higher altar, that otherworldly shrine, the oneness, the universe, that's super galactic juicy. And I would just affirm that I am in synchronicity with the higher self, that would be your Sira, subscribing to the channel of source. and just let your intuition be literally your guiding light today and listen to those messages. Like I said, they might be hard to hear, but they're going to open the door to some truth. So with all of that, InShalla and Ashe, blessings to you and thanks for hopping on. I know I was a little bit late, but enjoy the magic of the day.